All right, Grixis Cat Oven. So, powerhouse from Standard of Seasons Past. We've got Witch's Oven, Cauldron Familiar, Mayhem Devil. Then we've got some of the best interaction that Pioneer has to offer. We've got Thoughtseize alongside Fatal Push with rounding out the playset of Fatal Push in the sideboard. In the 2-drop slot, one thing that's interesting about this build that I'm not sure if I'm in love with is there's no Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Maybe that card's just not very good in Pioneer. I could see it being a little bit too slow and grindy for how fast and brutal the format is. But if that card could be useful, something I want to think about as we go. We've got Dreadbore, which is pretty reasonable interaction, even if it is sorcery speed, just like cheap and kills a wide range of things. And then we've also got 2 copies of Tail's End here, which is kind of a cheeky card. This can counter 4-mana Jace and also stifles the inverter trigger when it enters play. Now, the struggle is that while stifling the inverter trigger does prevent them from comboing you, it does leave them with the 6/6 flyer. So a question in my mind is, are we going to be able to win games where we stifle that trigger and then leave them with the 6/6 flyer? We've got Chandra, which while we don't have Priest of the Forgotten Gods, Chandra does have good synergy with both Mayhem Devil and reasonable synergy with Oven. We've got a couple different top-end threats here. Interested to see how those play out. Scarab God is a card that's been impressive in the past when you have ways to cheat on mana, but in a more fair deck like this, I'm interested to see if we're able to leverage it appropriately. Why not stifle the Oracle trigger instead? Sure, yeah, you could stifle a couple different things. Yeah, if you stifle the Oracle trigger, maybe that could potentially be good. The problem is that, like, the more... If you try to stifle the Oracle trigger, you're leaving yourselves more chances to get blown out. And, like, if you stifle the Oracle trigger and fail, you're going to lose the game. Like, they have discard spells and stuff like that. Well, you can't stifle the Jace replacement effect, but you can counter the Jace, right? Because Tail's End does just counter legendary spells. So maybe it is ideal to just let the inverter happen and then try and counter the thing that wins the game. So, with the current state of Pioneer GMP, I'm not taking decks except for $50 for the format anymore. But being the savvy businessman that I am, my queue is always pushed out a few weeks. So, like, when the format took a bit of a nosedive, in my opinion, I had, a dozen plus decks waiting to be played. In general, when formats are popular, I take in decks much faster than I can play them. And that generally is a good thing. I gate them at a certain point and stop taking more, but if I can be, 3 weeks out with decks is my goal. So I always have like 3 weeks worth of stuff lined up. Zene, thanks for the 2 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I guess I keep this. I really don't want to go to 4 cards. I'm going to throw back these 2 and just hope for the best. The build of Aristocrats we're going to play today is not exactly the one for my website. I'm going to try a couple of different things, and if it goes well, I'll probably update the build on the website. So I tend to be conservative with my builds on the website and like put up the last one that felt good. And when someone submits a build on my website for me to play again, I'll often try different things, and if they feel like they were worthwhile, I'll update the build. But sometimes we try things and they're not good, and I'll just leave the list on my site alone. One of the things about the Red-Black Aristocrats deck is there's lots of different ways to build it, and I definitely don't have enough reps in to know which one is ideal. Hey, Juju, thanks for the 45 months of support. That's like almost an entire Declan's worth of months. It's a long time. I don't know. I'm not optimistic that they're planning to change anything in Pioneer. I don't think that any amount of data collection that they haven't, like, I feel like, Cheeky Banana, thanks for the 2 months, welcome back. I feel like people who are like, they just need more information, just don't understand the incredible amount of data that they get from just Magic Online every single week. Like, sure, if you're just looking at paper tournaments, you need to wait a while to collect data to make informed decisions, but there are so many digital matches played week in and week out. Lord Arian, thanks for the 3/4 of a year. Welcome back. Oh, I wonder if they're a Doom Foretold deck. That would be hot. So, I kind of want to just concede at this point. We can't win this game, but I also don't really know what my opponent's doing. So I think I'm supposed to play this out for information. I agree, Lord Aaron. I mean, so I'd like, and here's the counterpoint to wait for people to try and metagame it. We had a tournament with some of the best players in the world one weekend, and the following weekend we had another tournament with some of the best players in the world. And the best players in the world for the second tournament concluded that the correct choice was to play Inverter, not metagame with other things to beat it. So like, again, I feel like if they wanted this format to not be what it is now, they have enough information that they would have acted already. I'm going to kill this because it denies them a scry. It lets me attack for one, I guess. But again, just kind of flailing around, just trying to get some information about exactly how their deck's going to kill us. I don't know. My opinion at this point is almost assuredly what it was in Modern, which is that if you don't like the current format, how it exists is a feature, not a bug, and you shouldn't play it. Not every format of Magic is going to appeal to every person. I know a lot of people, myself included, had a lot of optimism this format would be more fair and mid-range. And like, when the format first started, it seemed really optimistic, right? Like, that time period where like the big red deck was like the best thing people were doing in the format. That was really sweet. And I was excited to play a format like that. But the way the format has developed at this point, it feels like this format is just Modern without the sweet cards. It's like half a turn or a turn slower, but like the types of play patterns that are occurring here, I just have worse mana and less interesting payoffs than what I have in Modern. Yeah, I mean, I kind of genuinely feel like if you are someone who doesn't want to play a rotating format like Standard, and you're not into, if you don't want to play a rotating format like Standard, and you're not into these kind of combo style matchups, I don't really feel like there's a non-rotating format for you, because Legacy is just super inaccessible. I don't really feel like I have sideboard cards for this, huh? I mean, I guess I'll bring in like Dispute and Disdainful Stroke as like awkward counter spells. Yeah, I agree. Historic could be fun. Interested to see where that goes. I really hope we see them lean into Historic a little bit more once we get another rotation happen and some more cards added into it. Gerard's Wisdom, thanks for the 2 months of Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Cardinal, thanks for the 15 months. Am I supposed to bring an Unmoored Ego to just take away their Doom Fortolds? Probably not. I guess these Dreadbores don't seem particularly useful. Oh, you're talking about for paper Magic? Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of the opinion that Standard's probably dead, pretty dead as a paper format. I'd be incredibly surprised if paper Standard could ever recover. That was a good draw. Feel like consumer confidence has just been too regularly shot in the foot. You're in Portland, Oregon, and the biggest card shop in the area can't fire a Standard event. Yeah, I think there's a very real chance that Standard's just dead and not coming back in paper. I didn't bring this back at the end of their turn in case they had some kind of exile effect. Maybe I'm supposed to just bring it back so I can pressure them a little bit. I'm just going to pop this out here so that way it doesn't bounce back and forth on me like Moto is wont to do. This is one of the trouble with playing a deck like this is we have only 23 lands in our deck, but we're trying to curve out to 4 and 5. And like you're going to miss your land drops with some consistency in a matchup like this. Feels magic, man. You're the only WPN premium store in pretty much the entirety of Northern California, and Standard hasn't fired in almost 5 months. Yeah. Yes, yeah, you can Tails and Triggers. I didn't concede the last game because they were drawing 3 cards. I conceded the last game because I'd seen enough of their deck and I was confident in what they were playing, and we couldn't win that game regardless. We just didn't have the tools. We mulliganed low and got discard spelled and didn't have any colors of mana. So I would have, like I mentioned, I would have conceded that previous game earlier had I known exactly what they were playing. I just continued to play because they're also playing a brew and I wanted to collect more information. I look at the deck, would it appropriate to make this a 25? I don't know. I don't really know what this deck is trying to do without playing games with it. Like, I feel like one of the, and that could be a criticism of how the deck is built too. Like, we're just super dead. I just can't win this game. Like, I look at this deck and I don't know if it's supposed to be an aggressive deck or if it's supposed to be like this mid-range control deck. I feel like having this Cat Oven along with Mayhem Devil package, but then paired with this top end, but it's tough to be a more mid-range deck because like I look at this deck and like I don't really have card advantage, right? So like if I start moving in the direction of like 24, 25, 26 lands, I'm going to flood out a large portion of the time because I don't have a way to generate 2-for-1s to push through the flood. Standard, yeah, not only standard even without bans is expensive and difficult to keep up with on paper. For people who only play Magic Arena, it can be easy to forget just how incredibly expensive paper Magic is. And like just for example, MTG Goldfish has good pricing. So like let's look at the paper pricing of Standard right now. So mono red aggro in Standard right now is approximately $170 according to Goldfish, and that's the cheapest deck on their breakdown of the top 8 decks. Whereas decks like Temur Reclamation range all the way up into $500, and Blue-White Control and Jeskai Fires are like $250, $300, $400. Misha, thanks for the 6 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. And remember, those are decks that like they might not be competitive when the next set drops, right? And Dizzy B, thanks for the quarter of a year. And it's like, it's one of those cat and mouse style, it's one of those, or not cat and mouse, chicken and egg style things where like Standard's expensive, which means people don't want to play it if other people aren't also going to be playing the format, so then they don't buy in, so the few people that do buy in don't have people to play with, so then they regret having bought in. You're back for the pivot tables. Thanks for the 10 months, Wandering Murloc. We're gonna be doing Pioneer at 3 to 5 days a week still at a minimum. So we're gonna be doing Pioneer today, tomorrow, and Friday. I think I've got 19 Pioneer decks in the queue, so that's going to be another month or so of Pioneer decks at a minimum. I don't know. There's a lot of factors that go into it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really important to remember that, like, Wizards of the Coast has a very direct control over what the price of Magic the Gathering cards cost. Wizards of the Coast is directly responsible for the price of every card in their game. If they were not okay with what particular cards cost, they could very easily print more of them to a point to where you could make them affordable. And like I said, I like Standard right now, but I also think it's understandable that, like, it doesn't have traction in paper just because of accessibility factors. Pretty good start to our Pioneer League here so far. We played against Black-White Doom Foretold, and we're playing against Green-White Cats, it looks like. Good amount of variety. It's very possible that, like, now that most of the big Pioneer events have passed, that, like, these leagues will be pretty bearable just because the format will be largely casual players. Like, if the spikes don't have something to test for, they'll move on to other formats. It doesn't make those decks any less good, but there'll be more people potentially who are playing decks because they just want to do sweet or neat or novel or specific things, rather than because they're trying to give themselves the best possible chance to win. And that's something we talked about quite frequently in Modern too. Even like when Modern was in like Eldrazi Winter, you could still, for example, go to your local game store and play reasonable matches of Modern because most people at the local game store weren't tryharding. They weren't interested in giving themselves the most percentage points. That is an adorable token. Yeah, our deck title's Grixis Cat. We're currently being outcatted. Alright, I mean, they discarded Regal. So, like, if they can't kill my Scarab God here, we're going to start bringing their cats back. So he says, that one's going to be a tough nut to crack. So this is going to get monstrous. I am Pterodactyl. Thank you for the 27 months of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. I think I'm going to upkeep Scarab God. If I upkeep S-God, I get to scry one and make them lose life. Why are all of these cats adorable, chat? Why are all of these cats so adorable? We are one land off of flipping Nicol Bolas. We got that going for us. Start smacking him in the air here. Would Field of the Dead be unreasonable in current standard? I don't know that it would. Oh gosh, this cat has lifelink too. Wow, that's an aggressive attack. All right, let's put this here. Let's put this here. Let's put this here. Let's put this here. Could see them. Monster the Fleecemane. sure. Selesnya Charm. Why didn't they just exile my Scarab God? Do they not realize... They must not realize Scarab God's about to come back, huh? They forgot. It's been a while. I think they forgot Scarab God. Yeah. that was Scarab God has a dice trigger concession. Oh, opponent. Huh. You think Witch's Vengeance is good here? I think it might be. It's been a while. It's been a while since Dad came home. The cute cats, witches sacrificing cats. That is that a flavor fail? I feel like that might be a flavor fail. Uncertain. You don't like taking out Chandra. What would you trim instead? Would you rather trim Thoughtseize? I don't know. I feel like I'm bringing in some more expensive spells, so I don't want to get clunked up too much. I also don't feel like I'm always going to be able to defend Chandra. Mana is super awkward here. I also don't have any spells that cost less than 3. I think I'm supposed to play Catch and Release here. Yeah, this is better. We'll keep this. We'll bottom a Witch's Oven. Am I into podcasts? I am not. Some of the YouTube videos I watch in the regular could probably double as podcasts. My media consumption outside of work is generally like, I watch a couple of different late night shows. Their replays on YouTube the following day. Stephen Colbert and Trevor Noah. And then there's a couple of internet news shows that I like to watch. Philip DeFranco does a good one. And who's the other one? Some more news with Cody. I'm blanking on Cody's last name. Garrick, Predator of Scrubs. Thanks for the 16 months. Welcome back. John Oliver. Yeah, that's the one. That's another one. John Oliver's great. He's on a daily show, though. He's only weekly, and he just came back, so he's not at the top of my mind. I think I just land pass here, wait for them to play another cat, and then have the witch take some vengeance here. Please play another cat. Rants. Now, one of the sweet things about Witch's Vengeance as a card is I get to deploy Mayhem Devil here, but I'm not extending into my own sweeper because this only will kill the cats. Cody Johnson, yeah, that sounds right. Which card surprised me the most? I don't know, I feel like I'd have to sit down and look at a list and think about that. I don't have an off-the-cuff answer to that. So I think at this point we just go Dreadbore, and then I need to Noxious Grasp this and take it off the table, because otherwise it turns into a 4/4. So got a little punish there for trying to be greedy. Took some hits of damage, hoping that they would extend more into my Witch's Vengeance than they didn't. I mean, I think using nonsense terms like sleeper agent is kind of silly, but it is commonly known that Bloomberg was a Republican. You could argue he probably is still a conservative and doesn't belong in a Democratic primary. Using terms like sleeper agent is very Trumpanese, and I'd encourage you not to do it. Don't sensationalize, just be factual. I mean, to be technically correct, it's not a stretch to say that Bloomberg's a much better businessman than Donald Trump. Donald Trump inherited quite a lot of money, and then he squandered it in a lot of different failed ventures. Bloomberg, from my understanding, started with fairly little and did actually make himself a lot of money. Now, you could argue the ethicalness of the way in which he accrued that money is probably not good. He is a billionaire after all, and there are no ethical billionaires. Yeah, after the first game, I was expecting this Witch's Vengeance to be better, but like, these cats and their 4th point of toughness, chat. Alright, let's see if they take the bait. One could argue I was a master at baiting, chat. Some say Bill Gates is an ethical billionaire. Disagree. As a staunch open source software advocate, Bill Gates can bend off. Almost got him. Punished. I'm not getting into the details of why Tulsi Gabbard sucks on stream. I'd encourage you to Google it. Do some research. Vermont's just gonna sit here and take chunks out of us. Hey, Keezer. Thanks for the 11 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Okay. That stabilizes the board at least, huh? In my opinion, anyone who became a billionaire while paying anyone in their supply chain less than a living wage is not ethical. And you can discuss or refute that point if you want, but that is my opinion on the matter. If you became a billionaire, you could have afforded at every point to pay people a living wage. Put your creature or planeswalker from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So I could get back their Brahmas here, but that's not super useful. What do I do with this if I flip it? There's a chance I just die. Am I supposed to like flip this and shoot? I think I'm actually supposed to flip it and shoot their Brahmas. Oh. I get 2 triggers here. That's so good. I wasn't even thinking about that. Flip this bad Mamma Jamma over. We'll shoot Brahmas. Yeah, that fact is irrelevant to how she obtained her money, though, Maven. So, like, that's accurate and it's factual, but it's, like, not relevant to the topic at hand. I did see Trump pardon Blagojevich. And part of Trump pardoning Blagojevich gives me this little tiny vain hope that, like, people who voted for him because they thought he was the anti-corruption candidate will see that he's really not that, and he's a big, fat phony and a liar and just a sham. But, like, they're also probably not very bright to have voted for him in the first place, so, like, the chances that they change are probably not high. Did Epic not release yesterday? It was supposed to be out yesterday. Now you're gonna make me look. They hit an issue. Oh yeah, it says coming soon. Weird. That's awkward. Yeah, it does look like it got delayed on Steam. Alright, turn 1 Thoughtseize you. Feels Pioneer, man. How very red. She's gonna take their Karizev. Rabble Master dies to Kolaghan's command, so. I mean, pardoning racists probably makes Trump's base excited, right? I can only assume that that's something that they would be all for. Tap down to 12. Ow. Ow. Up to 13, down to 11. Actual devil pitchforks. Oh. Alright, so their hand is Ramanap Rooms, Abbot of Carol Keep, Lightning Strike. So I'm just going to go ahead and make you discard kill this. Soul Diviner. I don't think we played Soul Diviner this standard season, so many birds. I'm not sure we played one during Eldraine Standard either. It might have been pre-rotation. So this exiles a card. Then they can play that card till end of turn, so they hit a land. It's pretty good. And they drew a 1-drop. Yikes. Going to 9. They can put me to 3 this turn. We're dead to a Wild Slash. Alright, want to draw a Fabled Passage here. What place of GA is Georgia? The South. Oh, the South. We're dead to Lightning Strike plus Chandra plus. Alright. Fatal Pushes and Magma Spray seem pretty reasonable here. Bedevil seems good. Thoughtseize does not seem good. Tail's End's actually pretty reasonable here, right? It counters Planeswalkers and Karizev, and they probably have Torbrand in their deck too. Yeah, our mana base didn't do us any favors there. That's for sure. I'm not sure the Rekindling Phoenix. It's just not great against Chain Whirler. Hey, Quarthian, thanks for the 19 months. Welcome back. I appreciate you keeping me around. Give it a try here. I have no idea, Frags Marty. I assume it's there to exile Inverter. It's basically the best Planeswalker ever printed. I mean, I think that's like, Oko would like to talk to you. I think Torch Defiance is probably one of the better Planeswalkers in this format. That's unfortunate. So I think my play here is shock this in, play Chandra plus Chandra, and then I can down tick her, cast Dreadbore next turn. The problem is, this is going to have already dealt, like, 4 to 6 points of damage to me. Magic cards don't exist in a vacuum, Chewy. So your statement is awful. You'll be a better Magic player when you stop thinking about Magic cards in a vacuum because it doesn't make sense. Because that's not how Magic works. Okay, so with Eat to Extinction drawn, God, is it crazy to just plus Chandra again? I think I'm going to plus Chandra again and then eat this Eidolon so I don't take damage from it. It's also more mana efficient to cast the Eat this turn. They might just continue ignoring Chandra, which would be ideal. What if I throw my cards on the floor and use the vacuum? Then Magic cards exist in a vacuum. I agree. Okay, they are ignoring Chandra as expected. I get to eat this one at least. No, I would love a Dreadbore. Would I love a Dreadbore? That's actually not true, huh? It's like, my head went to, I want Dreadbore because they have a creature in play, but their creatures that are left are creature lands, right? I'm just gonna die to Mutavault. Yeah, I should have bought him that. Having just pretty typical, awkward, interactive mid-range deck problems. You know, I've got 3 different pseudo answers in my hand. None of them line up particularly well into what our opponent has in play. I mean, Stifling doesn't even buy a turn. Stifling just makes them pay 1 more mana. Yeah, we're super dead. Rough. I feel like the cat oven part of this deck just doesn't really make sense. I feel like there's probably an okay... I feel like this deck's too split. I feel like if you want to be cat oven, you need to be aggressive, and I'm not sure that cat oven can be aggressive enough for Pioneer in general. And I feel like if you want to be interactive and mid-rangey, there's better ways to do that. Like, I do think Chandra Torch of Defiance is a good suggestion. There's a Grixis Dragons list up on my website. I think you could also build a non-dragon Grixis mid-ranger control deck that probably has some legs in this format. But, like, things like Cat and Oven and even 3-mana Chandra to a degree are just, these synergy cards aren't powerful enough. Too often when we're playing this deck, Mayhem Devil is just like this 3-mana 3/3 that doesn't really do anything. Yeah, it feels like we're, like, synergy decks like this often just aren't good in Magic anymore these days. You'd rather play individually powerful things rather than these cards that are kinda good together but awful apart. Hey, thank you for the generous tier 2 resub, Lebo. I appreciate that. Thanks for the 16 months. Welcome back. Creature lands in the next set would be sweet. Big fan of creature lands. Yeah, I agree, Panza. Every time I played Cat Oven in Pioneer, I've been underwhelmed by it. The card advantage aspect of it generally doesn't matter in a lot of the games that get played in this format, it feels like. And it just doesn't have the closing power to make its disruption meaningful enough. Hey, Lou, thanks for the 14 months. Welcome back. You want tricolor creature lands? That's interesting. You could balance those in a lot of different ways too. You could like have them make 1 color of mana, but then they take 3 to activate or something like that too. All right, I'm not quite sure what this bracket is, but this is the bracket we're now in. I'm not quite sure what to call it. It's a bracket. Every time, chat. Every time. That makes sense as to what they're doing. This is just like... I feel like we're just about to get... Oh, can I file for comp? No, they finally fixed it. I feel like we're just gonna get, you know... This is a matchup where they're just gonna grind us out. We just can't keep up with them. Like, again, we're not aggressive, so we can't get under them. We don't really have a lot of card advantage, so we can't outgrind them. I will say, while this deck's been kind of medium, this league has given me optimism that Pioneer could be fun moving forward on Magic Online, though, because the decks we've played against in this league have also been largely decks that I would consider not that great. So it's nice to see that other people are just having a good time in the format as well. Yes, yeah, so previously, Niv Mizzet didn't tell you which cards they put in their hand if they revealed 2 cards of the same color combination, and they finally fixed that bug, apparently. Slaughter Games and Unmoored Ego. Sure. Maybe I'm supposed to take one of their 2 Slaughter Games effects just so they can't take my Scarab God. It's fixed now. It now shows you in the game log what they took. It didn't previously. So that bug has now been corrected. Fabled Passage actually an incredibly good draw for them, because not only does it get them a blue source, but it also puts another card in their bench so they can escape Uro sooner. Shadow Epic, thanks for the brand new Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome to Hoaglandia. Hope you're having a good one wherever you're at. Yep. Wouldn't be surprised to see them fetch with this and then cast their second Uro off the Gilded Goose here. Just keep churning through their stuff. If we can hit a blue source, we can Tails End Uro when they escape it eventually. We did Shadow Epic. We played against someone playing green-white cats. I think them main decking both Slaughter Games and Unmoored Ego is obnoxious and probably unnecessary. I don't know, maybe it's good to just draw them. The inverter matchup's probably hard, so it probably doesn't hurt them to hedge it, I suppose. If you want a reasonable budget Pioneer deck, registering a bunch of basic mountains is probably the best choice in terms of how competitive you want to be. If you're looking for something sweet, the Cats deck seems interesting. I would worry about its ability to interact with the more linear decks in the format. Green and white don't really have great tools for that here. Things like Tocatli Honor Guard and Rest in Peace aren't actually that good against the Inverter archetype. Slaughter my games, friendo. Slaughter my games. The cat tokens are adorable. You are not wrong. I commented on that when we were playing. Are there any 8-rack effects in Pioneer? Yeah, Shrieking, the second rack effect, the enchantment one is legal, and then Davriel is technically legal. We tried a red-black rack deck at one point on stream, but it was pretty underwhelming, even with Kroxa. Shrieking Affliction, yeah, that's what it's called. The name Murderous Rider, it's a good guess. That's exactly what we were shocking in to hold up. Hey, Gilded. Thanks for the 5 months, and thanks for the congrats. My part's easy for the time being. Till the tiny person arrives. Sounds good, Torma Bread. I think Gilded Goose in a world without Oko is an appropriate 1-mana accelerant. If I had my way, this would be the only 1-mana accelerant I would leave legal in this format. I think the blue-red scissors deck's a very good choice. I think that deck's reasonably powerful, gets to play Mystic Dispute and Metallic Rebuke. How is adjusting to 2 kids? How old is your older one? So like, 1.5-year-old already. So those are a little bit further apart than ours, not too much. My oldest is 6 and Declan is, mine are 15 months apart, 18 months apart. I forget exactly. Math is hard. Have a good one, I'm a Giorgio. Well, my opponent's clock is still ticking down. Either they disconnected, they had something come up, or they're just like taking a pause while looking through our deck. Or we're disconnected. No, I don't believe their timer counts down when we're disconnected on Moto. At least I don't think. Thanks for introducing me to Epic. Was playing it on my phone, and I realized how hard it is to show small cards with lots of text on a phone. I can't wait for Arena on mobile. Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of text on these cards. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Hey, welcome back, Lamacopter. Eight, 6, and 3. I mean, I played a lot of Magic Online. I don't think I've ever had their timer go down while I'm disconnected. I also have a relatively stable internet connection, though. This are out here. Maybe they disconnect. Yeah, maybe they will approach it in a reasonable manner, and like, you just won't play the full game on mobile. It'll just be like a companion app, or like they'll have some kind of custom mobile mode that's geared at mobile. Let's play Arena while we wait. We're gonna get there, I promise. Right. So you're saying there's a chance. Maybe I'm just supposed to hold up Tail's End for their Uro coming back. The problem is they know about the Tail's End, so like it's hard to really hold it up in a meaningful way. They just like won't escape the Uro. They'll just like do something else with their mana for the turn. I mean, I assume they'd allow cross-platform play. Is there any reason why they wouldn't? They draw Niv. They drew Bring to Light. Yeah, you could technically flag applications in the app stores as tablet only. Which I actually think is a really good solution because it lets people who want to hack around that and get it on their cell phone, get it on their cell phone if they want, but then they can say it's not officially supported, so when it's a bad user experience in some edge cases, they can just be like, we told you it wasn't supported on mobile, idiot. Their dragon's bigger than our dragon, chat. But I don't understand. My dragon's an elder dragon. Shouldn't it be the biggest, the bigliest of dragons? We're just dead, right? You have an Uro coming back too. Stroke and Dispute sound great. Honestly, I think I'm supposed to bring in Ego to just be like taking away their Niv visits is probably not unreasonable. Our dragon's just geriatric, fair. Little itty bitty tiny dragon. I'm gonna trim the Mayhem Devils. The Mayhem Devil's been super underwhelming. Well, I mean, I have my colors of mana, I suppose. Lead on the Watery Grave here, so if we draw Thoughtseize on 2, we can cast it without shocking to hurt ourselves. If by the Grixis you mean have we struggled to win games of Magic, then almost assuredly yes. Grixis is the saddest colors. These are a few of the saddest things. Do 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 do. rough. He is the unicycle devil. He's crazy. Man, they should really get this Thoughtseize card checked out, chat. It just ain't right. It just ain't right, okay? What this Thoughtseize card does, it just ain't right. So, Unicycle Demon gets to kill the voice. Teferi will likely be omnipresent in every format that he's legal in. The card is very, very good. There's a part where they play Niv Mizzet and we die. They got... Speak of the devil. Utter End, Teferi, and Bring to Light. Yeah. Have infinite cards in hand and we have nothing. I'm gonna be done with this one. There really aren't replacements for Thoughtseize and Fatal Push. They are format staples that just like there aren't cards of comparable power level. So yeah, overall, this was a miss for me. The Cat Oven Mayhem Devil package felt incredibly out of place here. Honestly, Chandra Acolyte of Flame alongside it too. Like, all of these cards are kind of neat together, but their individual power level is just so low, and we're not going to have them consistently together in a deck like this with no card selection that, again, every time we play Cat Oven and Pioneer, it just doesn't feel aggressive enough or powerful enough for the format. I think there's probably a reasonable Grixis mid-ranger control deck in this format. We've played both Grixis Control and Grixis Dragons in the past. I believe Grixis Dragons is one of the Pioneer decks you can find up on my website now. And I think those approaches are kind of okay. But when you take the Grixis kind of interactive plan and dilute it with these low-quality cards that don't generate card advantage and are kind of medium on their own, I feel like the strength overall of what we're doing here just becomes not quite good enough. Rabner, thanks for the 33 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I will say, though, again, like, overall, playing that league gives me hope that maybe it won't be too much of a slog playing Pioneer over the next month or two still, because even though I think the combo decks are very good, in a post-PT world, maybe a lot of the spikes have moved on to playing other formats, and the decks we played against in that match set were largely very reasonable, and it wasn't just the combo smorgasbord that we've experienced last week when we were playing a whole bunch. So we'll be dipping back into Pioneer again tomorrow and Friday. For today, I'm going to go ahead and hit a quick ad roll while I get things set up to get flipped over. When we come back, we're going to jam some Arena. Be back in just a few, folks. Thanks for hanging out. Don't go anywhere.